This is one of our garden tour series, and we're going to put these out in the middle of the winter just to give all those gardeners a bit of a boost and a reminder of how fantastic gardens can be. Today's video is all about the fabulous Chelsea Physic garden in the centre of London, right next to the River Thames. This is a gem hidden away that a lot of people really don't know about. So I am now going to take you on a tour of 5 of my favourite parts of this wonderful Physic garden. We're here at the end of April, just in a cold spell. So just be aware that it will vary depending on the time of year that you actually come and visit the garden. This is the start of plants just coming up, starting to put on their buds. Some are in flower, but it is the most fantastic scientific collection of plant material, and it is such a great place to come and visit. Here I am in one of my favourite parts of this garden, and this is the family beds. So these are all set up. So in front of me here we've got the pea family, or the legumes, and then it goes on to different ones, and it's really a great way of learning and understanding how different the plants can be within these botanical families. And I just love this. You know, I can spend hours wandering around just looking at different things, thinking, well, yes, these are really interesting botanically, but they wouldn't grow in a garden. And that is why you have places like this. You won't see them in normal gardens necessarily, but what you do is you have them as a reference, as a scientific reference, and I think that is great, and this is why people need to understand and come and visit these places to keep them going, so that we can see what there is in the way of plant material that is used either for medicine or can be used in the future for industry, all that sort of thing. A lot of plant material has many uses. I just love it, the way the beds are set out. They've got the grass pathways in between, you've got the labelling of everything, and it just looks fantastic. You've got a border that goes along the side with different trees and shrubs. This bit, the family beds, takes up a large area, maybe over a quarter of the whole of this garden, because it is of so much importance, and it's really beautiful to see. So you've got cabbage trees, the mallows, you've got beautiful weeping elm over there, you've got the bright yellow there of the asatis. That is fantastic. That is woad, so that is what it's used for making blue dye. You wouldn't expect something that flowers yellow to give you blue dye, but that is woad. And then in the distance there are some beautiful tree peonies. So there's a whole row of peonies of different species. So a lot of this is species stuff. It's not your general garden centre named varieties. This is the species and maybe 1 or 2 early crosses, but that's it. So you are seeing them in their species form, so you know what they look like, where they grow in the wild. All of the labels will tell you what country they come from and what family they are. This is the Sunken garden, and it's great to suddenly just come down a level, and the sound of the road and the noises around seem to disappear just a little bit, and you've only come down about 3 feet. It has a beautiful, accessible, nice sloping path coming down, and then you come down to this deep water pond with wonderful rushes and iris and other water plants, but not too many that it's choked up, enough that you can see the particular groups and then see clear water. I much prefer it when a pond is like this, not too cluttered, so that you've got the water, because the wonderful thing about water is you get that beautiful reflection. And back from the pond there is this raised wall with this wildlife area here to encourage more of the birds and everything else. We are in the centre of town, and yet there are lots of birds coming in here. To my left here, the planting has been allowed to become, some people might say, weedy. It's just natural. You know, there are bluebells in here, there's geum avens in here, and other things which have self-seeded, allowing it to be a reservoir and an area for wildlife to be able to take over. In other parts of the garden, it's neat and tidy. Really nice to sit and just reflect, have the pond in front of you. It is a really calming place in the centre of a busy city. So similar to the fact that the raised beds have been allowed to revert back to a more natural way of planting, so is happening exactly here at the end of the pond. It's almost as though it's going out into the wilderness and becoming a damp area at the back, and that is really good. But it also means that they can grow more, slightly less damp loving, so things that want it to be damp but don't want their feet right in the water. So you're coming up to a bank and out with wonderful planting right the way through. Now we're moving into a real personal favourite, and that is the ferns. Although I'm not an expert on ferns, I just adore them. I think they're wonderful. From the beautiful tree ferns like this down to our normal ferns that we find in the woodland. And here at the Chelsea Physic Garden, they've got a fabulous collection inside a beautiful old Edwardian greenhouse. Let's go and have a look inside there. This wonderful greenhouse has been refurbished. It looks fantastic. It's a lean-to one, so that means it goes against a wall there. It's got quite high up, and then as you walk through onto the paving, it just gives you that feel as though you're going back in time. Beautiful ferns in here, from alpine ferns right the way through on beautiful raised beds so that you are able to get there, and anybody who is disabled and in a wheelchair or is shorter can actually get close to these things. It is set out so beautifully in here. As you walk in, you get this alpine fernery. So not all ferns are right up here and big. Some of them are just really low and delicate. And this just shows you how many different fern species there are. And as you walk in, so they become more exuberant and beautiful. A lot of the work of the Chelsea Physic is about education, so you will find wonderful boards telling you, for instance, how ferns adapt to different habitats or what is their reproductive cycle, which is really interesting, and it gives you an insight into this wonderful family, which is large and eclectic, from lovely dark green like this with very cut foliage to much more solid leaf like this, or dark or pale, or as in the staghorn fern up here, hanging off there, showing you that they would grow off trees and be epiphytic. So they are fantastic, really, really good. There are other boards in here giving you a good idea about this cool fernery. So it's not heated, it is a cool glass house. So it is fabulous for all of these ferns to grow. Wonderful bits of information here regarding about the areas in the world that the ferns actually grow, and you walk out of here feeling as though you've gone into maybe a jungle area, and then you walk back out into the garden itself through some ferns and you end up in Australia. Now we're in the area which is planted up with plants from New Zealand. So we are finishing the tour in this bit. I love the Antipodes, and it's a wonderful place for all sorts of incredible plant material, from lots and lots of shrubs and trees to grass-like plants, and it is fascinating. Whenever you go on travels, it is always good to look at the plant material that is there, to understand what is going on and why they have the vegetation they do, due to their climate, due to their rainfall and all of that. But the wonderful thing about a lot of these types of plants is they have fabulous bark and they have good canopies, giving it a lot of shade. We've come to the end of the tour around Chelsea Physic Garden, such a beautiful hidden gem within the centre of London. So if you ever get a chance, do come along and visit and take in all that it has to offer. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.